On Saturday, it will be one of the favorites coming into the tournament, and maybe people consider them to be the favorite going into the tournament. I'm talking about TES, Top Esports. They'll be taking on one of the 2 European contingents left in the tournament, FNATIC. Now, this is a very, very interesting matchup. You got Karsa versus Selfmade in the jungle, Knight versus Nemesis at mid lane. That is a spicy matchup, especially with Knight and everything that comes, the cachet that comes with the mighty Knight, Tyler. How does FNATIC compete competitively in this one?
This is a weird series. I think if you look at the series 2 months ago, 3 months ago, and it's not in this meta, not this really specific meta we're in right now that we've seen through the first 2 weeks of the tournament in the group stage, I would give Top Esports a 90% chance of winning, 95% chance. I think their laners are just too strong. I think Karsa would be great at enabling them. I don't think there's a way for FNATIC to really stop them, especially after seeing FNATIC kind of have those bit of lackluster games in the group stages. I think for the most part, FNATIC were really good. I think they had some games where they fell behind and kind of misstepped. But I think that they showed some good play. But if I'm looking at Top Esports of how they came to this tournament, especially Nemesis, a player who's not the strongest laner, he's much more of a team-focused guy, has more, his unorthodox picks throughout the Vagar, more enabling his players like Selfmade to kind of do his own thing. He's not really the ace player of the team. But, if he had to play against Knight, who is the hard carry, the MVP of the LPL, he would get crushed. But we're in this meta where it's not about enabling the mid laner. It's about enabling the jungler. And if you look at the stats and just kind of the disparity of how Top Esports played in the summer in the LPL to how they play now, it's totally flipped. Jackie Love is still the hard carry of the team. He's still eating good. He's still eating like he did back in the LPL. He's still getting those 600 plus damage per minute statistics off. He's still the hard carry of the team. The real issue here is Knight. In the LPL summer, he was averaging 500 plus DPM, hard carrying, one of the leaders in kills in the entire league. In the group stages, he's been down 200 DPM. So he's doing almost half less damage for his entire team because he is playing a much different role, where he is not playing as the focal point of the team, where he is more often than not enabling Karsa. Karsa was one of the lowest DPMs in LPL because his job was not to get early advantages for himself. He did not care if he was down 5 CS at 10 minutes. He did not care if his gold was down below the enemy jungler. He was enabling 369. He was enabling Knight. He was enabling Jackie Love. That was his job. The team is so strong laning wise, they win through lane, they win the game. They are mechanical gods. But in this meta, it's a lot more about the jungler getting ahead and the jungler being the one to kind of snowball the leads, where if you look at it, if I had to pick a player to snowball in this meta, I actually prefer Selfmade, FNATIC's jungler, over Karsa. I think Selfmade is a more reliable hard carry than Karsa. Not saying that Karsa can't do it. He's done it so far. They went 5-1 in the group stage with this kind of style, with Knight not putting up the numbers you would expect from the number one player in the tournament. But it's a cause of concern because this is not the top esports that dominate LPL. This is not the top esports that put the fear in the heart of everyone, where Knight is hard carrying and it's a lane kingdom of Karsa, being that point guard, putting everyone in the right position. He is now put in the position of the shooting guard. He is now the one who has to get at those kills, who has to put up the damage, who has to get those early CS advantages, and he can do it. But I think he's a far more cerebral player than an actual, brawny, I'm going to hard carry player like you have with a Selfmade or a Canyon or even a Piosik as you see in this tournament. So for me, I think the win condition for FNATIC is Selfmade. I mean, most of these matchups is the jungler, but I do think they might have an advantage in the jungle role when it comes to this specific style. In this style where it's about enabling the jungler, I think FNATIC might have an edge here. And if they can kind of, if Selfmade can be up to the day, if he can be the star player on the day and play out of his mind, FNATIC might be able to steal one here. They might be able to steal 3 games from TS because we saw it with FlyQuest. FlyQuest was able to beat Top Esports, and sure, we can talk about how
Airport FlyQuest. Let's clarify.
Yeah, but still
FlyQuest. Still,
no,
right.
Yeah, but Top Esports, that was a game that Top Esports had to win. We can talk about Airport FlyQuest all we want. TS had to win that game. If TS won that game, they are, securing themselves closer to that number one position. that was a big loss for TES, where I think that they showed that they do have holes in their game, and they have not been perfect during the group stages, where they did fall down very early against DRX because Piosik was able to get early advantages versus Karsa in the jungle, and they weren't able to stop him. So I still think TES is favored. I still think TES is a strong team. I want to see more from Knight. I don't think Knight had a bad group stage because he is playing the job he's supposed to play. He is not the star player in this meta, but I want to see more from him. You can carry from the mid lane in this meta. We saw it from Flower of Evil, who hard carried FlyQuest and all their victories on Syndra and Azir. I just want to see more from Knight. And if we see more from Knight, if Knight plays more at his peak level, that 10 out of 10 best player in the world peak, I don't think FNATIC has a chance. But if they try to play through Karsa and they try to do this jungle versus jungle matchup to see who can win out in the early game, I do think that FNATIC has a chance. I do think they have a smart enough team where they can see those advantages and exploit them.
Well, thank you, Tyler, for feeding into my EU versus EU finals fantasy, because you're giving me hope here that FNATIC have a shot against top esports.
A chance,
which is great.
A shot.
Put a number to it. If you were to say they play 100 times in this meta.
25, 30.
That's more than a long shot. They're a good team. They're a good team, and I think this meta really does favor them. I think Selfmade is an awesome jungler, and I do think you want a hard carry jungler in this meta, and Karsa is better at enabling his laners, where in this meta it's about his laners enabling him. And TS wasn't perfect in the group stage, and I do think FNATIC can find some wins. So yeah, 25%. So, I'll take that. Listen, I am a big proponent, and we'll get to that in my predictions. I'm not going to say too much here, but I am a huge proponent of the Dream EU versus EU final, simply for the storyline. More on that later. That's one half of the EU component. FNATIC versus TES. That's happening on Saturday.